Hello, world. My name is George Rowley, and I am the Community Outreach Manager for Philadelphia City Rowing. And I've been a part of PCR for the last 3 years. And today, what we wanted to do was pretty much highlight local African American professionals that are doing incredible work in the city of Philadelphia. And because they are defying statistics, they are making Black history in their own way. And so today I have with me Basil Jackson, who's a professional in Philadelphia. And Basil is going to spend a little bit of time with us today just to kind of share about the work that he's been doing. So, Basil, I did have a question for you. Can you tell us a little bit about your current job, your role and responsibilities, and how long have you been there?
Yeah, and thank you, George, for just introducing me. Hello, everyone out there. My name is Basil Jackson, and currently I am a senior marketing associate at Baker Tilly here in Philadelphia. So what that really entails is kind of I work with my practice teams, whether that be on the tax team or across the firm, really, to set up marketing campaigns to not only educate people about our services, but also to connect with them on a human to human level. In addition to that, I'm, every day is a little bit different, I like to say. I could be, helping out with conferences. I could be helping out with sponsorships and other engagements. So it really, for me, it brings a lot of different skill sets to the forefront. But also I get to interact with a lot of different people, which is one of the things I really value as a person. I love connections. I love just, educating people as well. So been there for about a little over a year. So every day is a new day, and hoping for to see where it goes.
Yeah, that's great stuff. And I definitely can relate to that. I definitely like to connect with people and kind of branch out and explore new opportunities. So that's great that you're able to do that. And I do want to say you've been there for a year. How did you get involved in this field of work?
Yeah, so to be honest, with Baker Tilly, it was kind of by accident, really. When I look at kind of my career in Philadelphia, it's always been through the networks I have around me. But personally, I am a marketer by trade. So when I was at my previous company, just asking around and talking to people who were in Philadelphia about what's opportunities are out there. This was kind of brought up. So a field that I never thought growing up I would be in was tax and accounting. But in terms of marketing, I think looking back to my days, even in college as a psychology major, it's really helped shape who I am and kind of the things I like to do on a day-to-day basis. So it's been a interesting journey, but yet it goes back to kind of the skills I have fostered over the last years.
Great. So it sounds like you were able to kind of build those skills over time to kind of help you be qualified for this position, which is great. And I don't know if you mentioned it earlier, but are you originally from Philadelphia? And if you are, could you tell us briefly what it was like for you growing up in Philly?
Yeah. So I like to say I'm a Philadelphia native turned transplant. So I'm, while I didn't go to high school in Philly, I went to high school down in Tampa. I still see myself as a Philadelphian just because I connect with the city so much. I connect with the people so much. And looking back to growing up, definitely was an interesting environment. Definitely would say there's those people that probably counted me out or thought I would be another statistic. But through the help of family and kind of those who wanted to see me succeed, really was relying on people to say, hey, I see something in this kid, I see something in him, and he could be something. And so through just having the goodwill of people who pushed me up and supported me, I'm able to be where I am today because of them. So
that's beautiful. That's actually a segue to my next question. I was going to ask you, what kind of led you, what type of experiences led you to the path you're on now? And you kind of spoke to that when you said that people that kind of poured into you and invested into you. Was there any one particular person or any one particular experience that really shaped you?
Well, I think two people. I think my brother and my mother. They through circumstances and whatnot. Really they've been the kind of driving force in my life. And my brother, as an example of being someone here in Philadelphia who's been in Philadelphia, come up through the system, but also beat the odds. Really showed me what you can do when you put your mind to it. My mother, she showed me grace and love, and I think that, through those two, they show me so many different experiences, whether it be here in Philadelphia or just moving to a different city, different place, down in Tampa, Florida, to experience a different kind of culture. I think that in itself of showing me like, oh, there's not just this one thing out there, I think is really added to who I am as a person, but also to the fact that, again, I like connecting with people. I like bringing different kinds of people into the room and really making sure to kind of just be myself in front of them as well. So yeah,
that's great stuff. So now in this next question here, I've given you a time machine, and you are able to go visit yourself back in Tampa in high school, and you have about 20 minutes to have a conversation with your high school self. What would you say?
That's a great question. If I had to say one thing, I think it would be to really start early with, I guess, understanding and getting my finances order. When I think back to high school, there was so many things I was into that wasn't really, not to, I was being a kid, but I think, when I look back, had I known like, oh, what investing was, or, even saving and what making a budget could do, I really think that would have been gold, because had I started then, I would have even if it was something small, like $5 every month or every day, or, on a regular basis, I think by now I would be in a place where, hey, I have a little bit more flexibility financially, especially, when you talk about kids these days and kind of the fact that, hey, if you have the will to start a business, to be an entrepreneur, you can do that now. But also to do that, in many cases, you need to have that financial footing to take that risk. I think that kind of starts with, hey, saving a little bit here, investing, putting it in a place where your money can grow, where you have that foundation. I think that would have been huge. And so that would probably be one thing, and then probably a bunch of other things about not getting my hopes too high on the Sixers. But hey, that's another thing.
Yeah, I mean, you could say that to yourself in high school. You could say that to yourself now. I mean, but you made up a really good point. I think that a lot of times when youth, or anybody for that matter, sees someone, especially a person of color, achieve some type of success, they kind of look at the end result and they don't really see what it took to get there. And I think you speaking about financial literacy was really, really key. And I think that's something that in school systems should be talked about a little bit more, just the importance of finances and investing and things like that. So that's really, really important. I'm glad you said that. That's great.
Yeah. Just as a point, not to butt in, George, but I think back to, I had in third grade, I think, I had a teacher who he and granted, might be dating myself, but he had us do an exercise. For a month, we had to balance a checkbook, right? And that was, I think back to my whole time in school, that's the only time I had an exercise like that. So I think, to go back to your point, financial literacy, it's really important, and we don't talk about it enough. I think kids these days really need to understand that, especially in the world we're coming in, where there's so many different things financially, technologically, that they have to, really pick up and get up to speed with. So.
Yeah, and just to kind of get on the soapbox a little bit, I think in previous generations, they could probably get over and not being the most financially literate and just getting a good job in a stable situation. But I feel like now, as we're moving into the crypto era, I feel like being knowledgeable is more and more important now than it is, because if you're not knowledgeable about it, it's a really good chance that you can be taken advantage of and, not have any finances to begin with. So,
exactly.
And then, so to my last question here, you spoke about your upbringing, your journey. Do you have any current goals or aspirations that you want to achieve now?
Yeah, I think that's first of all, I think it's, no matter where you are, no matter if you feel like you're at the top or you feel like you're just starting, I think it's always important to have goals. And that's actually something over the years, I've kind of adjusted how I've had my goals or set out my goals, from saying, oh, I'm going to have that New Year's resolution, to now it's more, let me have shorter term goals where it's, every 3 months I'm trying to achieve something so I can build up, and at the end of the year, look back and say, wow, I really did a lot, rather than saying, oh, I only got half as much done as I sat out that year. So that's just one thing first. But when I look to now in terms of as a career, really just to grow and learn within marketing, and also to grow and kind of cultivate a network here in the city. In the back of my head, I always think about, how could I be the most connected person in Philadelphia? Right. And so, I think that's kind of a lofty goal, but right now, Besides that, just trying to grow as a marketer, stay more connected in Philadelphia and give back. So whether that be through my creative endeavors, podcasting, whether that be through just, art and things I do on the side, I really think it's just kind of to express myself in a way that helps others and inspires others.
That's great. And I think one thing that you said that really, really connected with me was just setting realistic goals. And I think a lot of us want to set lofty goals about what we want to do, which is great. But sometimes when you fall short of that, you kind of get down on yourself and you just lose the momentum and lose the motivation to try other things. And so I think setting realistic, smaller goals, maybe each week or each month, I think is really, really beneficial and kind of help you get momentum and confidence to achieve, being the most connected person in Philadelphia.
Yeah. And, not to kind of jump off of that, something that just came to mind, a book that I read at this point, a couple of years ago. It's called Atomic Habits by James Clear. He talks about, actually saying systems rather than just goals, where it's not just saying, not to go into the whole thing, but he talks about people who, Olympic athletes who, they're winners and the losers both set goals. So what's the difference between the winners and the losers? Sometimes it's about the systems and it's about the routines they put in place. So setting systems rather than just goals can be the difference. So I encourage anyone who hasn't read that book yet. That's just one of my favorite book recommendations. Anytime I can, I throw that out there. But yeah, it's in terms of goal setting, just starting small and staying the course is sometimes better than trying to shoot for the moon.
Wow, that's a gem right there. Setting systems, I like that a lot. Yeah. I like that a lot. That's great. And so if people wanted to connect with you, what's the best way for them to reach you?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So you could reach out to me. I'm usually on LinkedIn. So, just Basil Jackson, Jax Baz as well, I think works there. On Instagram, I have my podcast. So it's SIWTPOD. The podcast is called So I Was Thinking. So I Was Thinking podcast. And then on my website, Baz Jackson. So that's BASJACKSON.com. And you can reach out in multitude of ways there as well. And if you just see me in the streets in Philly, let me know. Anytime I see someone who's like, hey, let's connect, I'm always open to that as well.
Awesome. Great stuff. And was there anything else you wanted to leave the audience with?
I think, I think about just kind of going back to goals and systems. I think something that's important there as well are values. So I know for me, I have 3 words I end every podcast with, but they really mean a lot to me personally, and that's to live, laugh, and learn. And so not saying that these have to be your values, but, for those out there who might be going through high school, might be young adults, might be young student athletes out there, I think it really is important to think about what are your values and how do you live each day aligning to those values. So, I'll leave you guys with that. And besides that, just stay happy and stay humble, I guess. So. Great.
Well, Mr. Jackson, thank you so much for your time. I definitely got some value out of it. I'm sure the audience did too. And looking forward to connecting, in the future as well with PCR as well, for sure.
Yes. Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for watching until we meet again.
All right. Take care.
All right.